Also, just some technical technical things that we're going to see. We're going to manage all the Q&A through a different platform. That platform is called Vivox. That's VEVOX, and you can access it through your web browser through vivox.app and using the code number 199243436. I'm going to repeat that. That should be in the invitation. But anyway, just to make sure, you need to go to your web browser to vivox.app and there use the code 199243436. There you can you will be able to input your questions. We're going to do the best we can to answer all those questions. We are going to be managing those questions so to make sure that we don't repeat them and that the most relevant are answered. You're going to realize that you can vote on the questions. So we invite you to provide your opinion on the questions because they will be ranked by their relevance, and the relevance is given by the number of votes that they have. That being said, any further questions that you might have and are not addressed today, we're more than happy to follow up on them later with the Expande team. So please, we expect you to get the most use of this session. We're very looking forward to answer every question that you might have. And we also are looking forward for you to engage in our challenges. As you probably know, we're all about collaboration and bringing innovation into the industry. So that's what we want to do. I'm going to go through the program today. I'm doing the introduction. Now we're going to have Gonzalo Munoz, the Trade Commissioner from the Canadian Embassy, to give us some words. Then I'm going to do a brief Expande presentation to explain you broadly how our process works. After that, Maria Jose Araneda, Principal Supply Innovation from BHP, is going to go into the details of the BHP process and the upcoming pipeline. And then we're going to have some words from Andrea Gaun, the Global Trade Director from EDC, who's going to talk about the lessons learned that we have learned over these kind of 2 years that we have been engaged. And then we're going to go through the Q&A. So without further saying, I would like to give the microphone to Gonzalo Munoz, Trade Commissioner of the Canadian Embassy in Chile, for the welcoming words.
There. Now I have my my microphone. Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you, Gonzalo.
Good. Good morning to everyone. And I'm going to talk first about the current situation under COVID-19 affecting the mining industry in Chile in general. The measures taken by the mining industry include maintaining work at site production with a minimum staffing right now and demobilizing over 25,000 mining workers, 95% of whom are working on construction projects. Over 100 companies have implemented 14 times 14 shifts, and there are a series of other initiatives that have been taken to protect the health of workers in the mining industry. Over the last weeks, Chile's mining minister, Baldo Procuriza, has been urging miners to reduce on-site staff and minimize workers' movement between regions, mechanisms being used to protect the lives and physical integrity of mining workers while maintaining productivity. The Mining Suppliers Association, APRIMIN, requested the authorities to classify mining processing and supplying as strategic activities to keep work up despite the emergency. The association also asked miners to support suppliers. However, on the other side, most operations have rejected mining suppliers and contractors' visits to operations. APRIMIN Director Sergio Hernandez said in view that, quote, some suppliers are having cash flow. Therefore, we have asked mining companies to speed up purchase orders. With respect to projects that development, some important developments have been. Antofagasta Minerals has temporarily suspended its 1.9 billion Los Pelambres copper mine expansion project. Teck has also suspended its 7 billion QB2 construction project. Although today in the news it is that it's very likely that they will reschedule a launching of construction stage again for the next 2 weeks. All this enables companies to reinforce hygiene and social isolation measures in order to protect the health of workers and also the communities. COVID-19 affects all sectors in the world. The mining sector is just one of many that has been adversely affected. Quarantines and lockouts measures are preventing people and employees from meeting up to work. This is added to uncertainties across the supply chain affecting commodity prices. Mining, as you know, is a sector that is highly reliant on effective and predictable operations within its supply chain. Deviation from the traditional working practices are feared because they can trigger intense uncertainty and threaten both production and profits. With this in mind, COVID-19 has already affected mining operations and the trading relationship between building upon them, actually has left the future of the industry with great doubt. It is also certain that the COVID-19 pandemic will trigger a global recession, a type of economic event that has historically stalled the mining industry. At the 2008 crash, gold prices quickly rose in the 3 months from $89 per ounce in December 2007 to 1,172 per ounce in March as demand outpaced supply. However, by October, the price had dropped to $872. Gold prices boosted in the short term by the current pandemic. Prices per ounce increased from 1,489 to 1,570 over the course of a day. It would be a similar long-term decline following this outbreak. On a long term, the current outbreak could also have adverse effects on the ways in which miners operate and interact. Some companies have placed restrictions on the in-out of workers and on suppliers and contract workers. Some have also closed social spaces at their facilities, such as living rooms and gyms, hoping that this will help stop and the spread out of the virus. Still create disruptions to what was once a conventional manner of working. Nevertheless, mining operations are confronted with evolving challenges, and the COVID-19 is one of these. Lower commodity prices and issues on the logistics supply chain are common issues. So are challenges such as those related to improving productivity and having a cleaner industry, one that is respected and wanted by the communities as a vital force to improve quality of life, among others. Expande is aimed at helping the mining industry, operators, and suppliers to jointly develop innovative, disruptive solutions that will help to have a better mining industry. Remember what I mentioned before, that mining is highly conservative sector, highly reliant on effective and predictable operations within its supply chain. That deviation from traditional working practices can scare them out because of uncertainty. However, leading mining companies are clear that thinking out of the box is required for evolving to be better. This is what we are here for. Expand is confident that it's not a perfect program, that fine tuning is always required to become a better channel on behalf of all of us that are presently here in working on behalf of mining sector success in our country, Canada, and Chile. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Gonzalo, for your words. We are aware we're not perfect. We try to do it the best we can, but we also work that we can improve, and that's one of the main purposes of this session, to show how we are addressing the lessons learned that we have had through these couple of years that we have already been running. So, thank you very much. To continue, I'm going to do a presentation about Expande. So for you that are not familiar with Expande, Expande is an open innovation platform. We provide agile solutions for the mining industry. We work with companies based in Chile mostly. These are BHP, Codelco, Antofagasta Minerals, and Tech right now. As I mentioned before, the focus of this webinar will be on the BHP process. We don't work the same with every single company, so it's important for me to make clear that that everyone is aware that this is specifically for BHP. We can do other sessions for the other companies. Um, so open innovation, it's a broad space. We're not everywhere, but we are basically in the idea contest, which is where we manage the challenges from the mining industry and where we look for solutions in the innovation setting. This is different from a tender, and is different from a supply area because, as you probably know, innovation arises randomly from different places, and it's hard for large mining corporations to get the visibility of where innovation is going on. So basically, we help them in that regard, and that's the idea contest. To do that, we do a lot of tech scouting. So we invite everyone to be part of our platform. You can subscribe in our webpage, which I'm going to show later, and there you can sign in and let us know what's your solution or your technology, and then you will be contacted by us. We also do a lot of networking. This event is one of those examples. We really believe in collaboration and collaboration among suppliers as well as among companies and suppliers. So we believe that many times smaller companies can bond together to prepare stronger value propositions to mining corporations, and that probably is an easier way to get into the industry. So we do foster a lot of the networking, and if any Canadian company is looking for a local partner or want to identify local capabilities, please reach us to us because that's part of what we do. We also have a scale-up program for companies with high potential, and we do mentorships as well. Just as a reminder, I'm going to remind everyone to use the Bbox app to put your questions. Everything is in the invitation. The main difference between us and a tender is that we fall in love with the problem. So whenever a mining company comes with a challenge to Expande, what you're going to be seeing is a problem, not a solution. So we're not detailing what we want to find as in a regular tender to be able to compare apple to apples. That's not the idea of Expande. We're going to pose a problem, and we're going to be open for different approaches to solve this problem. And that's the beauty of this process. The difference also is that we do not provide so much information up front because we don't want to bias it. So it's not the regular engineering problem where you will have all the details and then you would provide a solution. This is more of finding new ideas to solve issues that haven't been able to be solved through other means in the mining industry. And I stress the point because many times we get questions about why don't we do not provide more information. And the answer is that the system is designed that way in order that we do not bias it and that we don't leave out new ideas that might arise. And that's something very different from a regular tender. We have been out for around 2 years. We work right now with 19 mining operations. Our clients control over 80% of the copper production in Chile. Through this process, we have signed so far 99 contracts. 70 of them are pilot and 29 are service contracts. As you will see, most of our processes start with a pilot contract, which then, if everything comes all right, would move onwards on an implementation. These contracts entail around $23 million. And we have also helped 43 startups in different capacities. One of the things we do is that we help them raise funding. So we are in contact with the venture capitalists in Chile and in the region. And they have raised with us so far above $8 million. And we also do a lot of ecosystem events. This is one of those examples where we try to promote cooperation. Excuse me. Our methodology is not rocket science. Basically, our value is that we are in the middle of a network. So we have the demand, we have the mining companies working with us and willing to incorporate innovation. They give us the challenges. We do not have a say in what the companies need. We are very demand driven. We do not believe that, we only believe that we want to address problems that someone really wants to solve. And that's the way that we can ensure that most of our calls end up in a contract. Our KPIs, Expande's KPIs, are how many contracts we help sign. So for us, it's very relevant that there's a champion, that the company is really willing to do this. Once we get these challenges, we go out to the broad network. We go out for startups, large corporations, research centers, international companies, everyone is invited because we want to really get the state of the art. And then basically we transfer our findings to the mining companies in a way that we facilitate the process and we facilitate how they incorporate the technologies. And Maria Jose from BHP will later go deeper into what BHP does in that regard. Our main source of communication are our web and our platform Bright Idea. Our web is www.expandemineria.cl. And there you will find those kind of challenges. For example, those are three BHP challenges that are actually open right now. And there, if you click in them, you can actually see their details and then subscribing to Bright Idea, which is our platform, and submit your proposal for us to evaluate. Let me say that only a selected group of these proposals that we see get invited to the actual challenge launch. So we do a filter, a first step filter. And then I just want to remind you, this was presented by Maria Jose in PDAC. We have an upcoming challenge that it's a global challenge. It's called 10 million tailings, where BHP is putting out there $10 million for someone who is able to develop a circular economy solution that will enable to repurpose challenge and transform them into something else that can be of value. So basically, it's a solution not to be depositing tailings anymore. We are in the process of designing this. The information, you can find it there at www.tailingschallenge.com. And we're in the process of closing all the information, but basically, please stay tuned. This is on our webpage as well, because we will soon be providing the details of this upcoming challenge. And with that, I think I'm going to leave the screen to Maria Jose for her to present the BHP process.
Okay, can you see my screen? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you. So thanks, Andres, for the introduction. Thanks for the reminder of the tailings challenge. That's really important to stay tuned. We had to delay it because of COVID-19, but we kept working in the background, and we expect to be ready to launch it like a month or so from now. So stay tuned to that. So I want to give you an overview of why we do what we do, what we're doing, and the main lessons learned. That is basically listening to your feedback and improving the process. So first, let's start with basically our purpose. It is using our business challenges to spark innovation and create shared value for BHP, our communities, and the countries where we operate. Through collaboration and trust in action, we empower an ecosystem of innovation, delivering value for all. And I know that this sounds pretty, very pretty words, but there's a lot of action there. So when we talk about sparking innovation, we are true to that. When we talk about share value, we are convinced that through this methodology, we can create value not only for suppliers and us, but also for the communities and create capabilities in Chile and also Canada. And also, very important concepts here are collaboration and trust in action, making it real, that the connection that we have, that the partnerships that we create, those are the ones that create the most value because we are collaborating and we are trusting each other. So how we do this, we basically connect to ecosystem or internal BHP ecosystem that consists of technology, supply, and operations. We identify together what our main challenges that need innovation are, and that innovation can be developed by a supplier. So we identify those challenges, we put them out to the external ecosystem. Expande supports us in that. Expande makes those challenges visible to you, And this external ecosystem, that's where big corporates, risk capital, universities, governments, and of course, suppliers, you, work together to basically create new products, new services, new capability based on the challenges that we have in the mining sector. So once we've identified what supplier we are going to award the development of the solution for that challenge, then we bring it inside the company and we make sure that we try it as quickly as possible so that we can have that solution and so that the supplier can then scale it up. Okay? So what's the process we use for this? We have this four-stage process. First, there is a characterization stage, which is the stage when we identify and prioritize the challenges. And then we do the selection process supported by Expande. So that's the stage at which Expande would have the challenges published in the webpage. That's when they would reach out to you, have you apply, and then filter what suppliers would make the long list to present to operations. And then we would review that list and invite the selected suppliers to participate in a launch and then to have them present their final proposals, evaluate them, and award a contract for a pilot. And it's really important, and I want to really stress this, what we are going to market for is to do a proof of concept of a technology, of an innovation. The idea is to award the contract for the pilot, for that proof of concept, so that if it works, then it can move to implementation, okay? So first is the characterization stage with identification of the challenges, then the selection process. After that, we award the contract for a pilot. We develop the pilot, we work together in that, and that's where the collaboration and trust really go into action. These pilots are divided in stages. The idea is to de-risk the technology throughout the process. They have toll gates of evaluations to see if we move forward or if we stop the pilot if it's not reaching the results that we need. And then at the end, we do a KPI review to assess if the KPIs were met. We do analyze the business case that we had in the beginning, and then if everything is working okay, if the business case is still interesting, we move into an implementation or transfer stage, and that is when you get the full-scale contract and we support to find other assets within BHP that can use this technology. And Expande can also promote this to the other mining companies in the network so that they know that this solution is available and that it was successful at BHP. So to go in more detail, the process in detail is first in the characterization, in the selection process, to do a kickoff between Expande operations and the supply innovation team to really understand the challenge. Then with that description, then the challenge gets published in the Expande webpage. That's when the scouting starts. That's when you can apply to that webpage, and suppliers need to apply to that. That way they will be visible to Expande and they will be able to get rated in that. Then there's the pre-qualification and save the date notification. So once the scouting ends, if Expande does the evaluation, they give BHP a long list, and BHP reviews that long list. We get to a short list that will get invited, and the stage 3 is when that happens, and they get invited to a challenge launch. And that challenge launch, it has 3 events: an administrative launch, technical launch, and pitches, and I will give more detail on that later. And 2 weeks after the launch, approximately, suppliers that participated in the launch are expected to turn in a technical and economical proposal for the pilot and give us an idea of what the future business model in implementation would be. Then we evaluate the proposal, and we take about 3 or more months for evaluation. Actually, evaluation is in the first 2 months, and then depending on who we are awarding, it's how long the process it takes to send the notification out. Because we need to have a contract or a PO or purchase order created in order to be able to notify who got awarded and who didn't. So really quickly, this is how the launches work. So there's an administrative session where we explain all the stages of the process. We explain the documentation that you need to turn in, because it's really important that you use the templates that we give, so we explain them. We explain how to participate in the launch, the platforms that we use. Then we have the launch, the technical launch, where a champion from operations comes and explains all the problem that he or she has. Then there's a Q&A session. All the questions are answered in that session. And then after that, the suppliers do a preliminary pitch. The main objective of this preliminary pitch session, where they will have 5 minutes to pitch the solution that they would suggest to the operation, is that they get feedback, that we understand if you understood the problem, and that you get orientation for your final proposal that will need to be delivered approximately 2 weeks after the launch. So in that opportunity, the idea is that you use the time, instead of like selling the solution and selling the company, just propose the solution and see what operations had to say in terms of how viable it is or not in their area, and get feedback on the viability of implementation. Here is a list of the main lessons learned and the main answer to the concerns that you've raised over all this time that we've been working together in this. We've been launching these challenges in this format, I would say, for the last 2 to 3 years. So there's always things that we can improve. So please, if you're participating in any process, let us know what we can improve, because we do listen to that and we do try to improve all the time. So first is the scouting and pre-qualification. Here, we want to do the kickoff as early as possible so that the challenges are in the webpage as early as possible so that you can apply with more time. Please, all of you, go through Bright Idea to apply. We will consider the suppliers that apply through the webpage, not through other channels. All of you will get notification that you were pre-qualified 1 or 2 weeks before the launch. Then for the launch and awarding, all the process documentation always will be in Bright Idea. We don't run the process through emails. We run the process through that platform, so it's really important that you keep that platform, watch it, so that you know what documentation you need to turn in. We will include and we will let you know what the evaluation criteria for the awarding of the pilot is at the administrative launch. Please remember, and I cannot stress this enough, the preliminary pitch objective is to give you feedback so that you can turn in a better proposal. Technical economic proposals are due 2 weeks after the challenge, and I know that this is a stretch, but it's the best way to keep this process agile, to keep the operations interested, and to keep their attention so that evaluations can be quicker in the future. Then all suppliers that attend the launch are expected to turn in a proposal. All of them. We are not filtering suppliers at the preliminary pitch. We just want to give you feedback, and we expect to receive your proposals. Then feedback and information. We are going to give you a timeline in the webpage. There are some ranges of the dates because of the COVID-19 situation. We are confirming dates as we go, but you will have an idea of what week or what month the challenges should be launched. And the awarding date should be 3 months after that. If there are delays, we will keep you posted on what is going on. Then we will also give regular information on the status of the process. The improvement that we're doing now is, since our awarding process takes so long because we cannot give information before we actually award a contract. And if we have to create a supplier, that takes a very, very long time. What we are doing now is that we are notifying suppliers that don't make the technical cut. And that happens like within the first month after you turned in your proposals. So those of you who didn't make the technical cut will know. And those of you who continue to the next stage, which is negotiating, will know if you were not awarded and why. And we will also make the list of projects that we have and that we have launched public in the Expande webpage so that you know what projects we have, at what stage they are at, and what suppliers are developing the solutions. And this is the list of this is the list of launches that we have coming up. You will have this presentation. You will have the recording of this session so you can look at it with more detail, the dates. They are all published in the Expande webpage, so go check it out as well. And that's for my side. Sorry if I went a little bit over time, but I'm sure that there will be lots of questions that we can address in the Q&A session. So thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, Maria Jose, for your presentation. Before I introduce you to Andrea Gaunt, I would like to remind the Q&A platform, Vivox. If you go to the chat, there's all the information. It's vivox.app, and the meeting number is 199-243-436. I'm stressing this because I see many people connected, but only 15 people connected to the Q&A. So please, if you have questions, make sure that you can connect there. Any questions about connectivities, please do it through the WebEx chat. And without further saying, I leave you with Andrea Gaunt, Global Trade Director from Mining from EDC.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, super. Yeah. First off, I just want to take a quick moment to say I hope everybody's safe and doing well under the current circumstances. I also wanted to extend a huge thank you to BHP and Expande for their incredible support over the last 2 years. Just to give a bit of context, for those that may not know, EDC has had a long-standing financing relationship with BHP. And the sole purpose of this is to increase opportunities to Canadian suppliers. So we have been working for quite a few years to develop those relationships, to better understand their needs and their challenges. And so this avenue through Expande to understand where they have some problems in the mine or in the plants and they're looking for solutions is such an incredible opportunity for us to be able to respond to. I also wanted to highlight the fact that we probably 55 challenges in the last 2 years that EDC has been working with BHP and Expande on. And during that process, we work very hard to try to understand which suppliers would be relevant to these solutions. We work behind the scenes, and certainly at the beginning stages prior to this public information of all the challenges, would work quite hard at trying to promote those suppliers and encourage them to submit proposals. Now that the process is well underway, that role is no longer needed. But I did want to thank BHP and Expande. They've been incredibly responsive to any feedback brought to them from the suppliers, from EDC, from MSTA, and they continue to do so. This call is an example of just the amount of openness they are to improving the process. I did want to, Andres, can you put up the next slide? I did want to highlight 2 things. As it relates to the lessons learned from past participation. There's been quite a bit of internal discussions with BHP and Expande on, why some of these Canadian suppliers didn't make the cut, what they could do differently, what are the main takeaways that they need to know in order to be successful. And I wanted to highlight 2. Maria Jose spoke to them, but these Canadian proposals quite frequently are being priced as if it was the final solution with all the bells and whistles. And so while most of them are passing the technical evaluation phase, they're being disqualified when it relates to the not disqualified, but on the economic proposal and pricing, they're pricing themselves out of the park. This is only a proof of concept proposal that they're looking for. So any bells or whistles or optionality can be separate, but you need to price accordingly. The other thing that I wanted to give you was the other big piece of feedback in order to be successful is, Maria Jose spoke about the 5 minutes of private time where you can sort of use that to ask questions to understand a little bit more the solution. Most of the Canadian, or many of the Canadian suppliers are using that to sell their actual solution. So what you should be doing is trying to find out if what you're thinking is on the right track, if your solution is addressing most of their needs, and soliciting their feedback in order to better understand how you should be submitting your technical proposal, etc. So those are the two takeaways I want to pass on to the suppliers for those who are going to be participating in future challenges. I also wanted to highlight, Maria Jose had put together a beautiful slide just previously, or last slide, on lessons learned. Many of these represent changes based on feedback given to them by suppliers through EDC, through MSTA, and they've immediately made many changes in order to have a process that's clear and fair and transparent. I wanted to highlight 4 of them. They have openly agreed to add the evaluation criteria in the administrative launch so that people have an idea how their proposals are going to be evaluated. They also are going to be looking at giving regular information on why challenges, if they're delayed.
Excuse me, Andrea. I don't think we can hear you. Maria Jose, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Andres.
Andrea, can you continue, please? Maria Jose, can you listen to Andrea?
There seems to be separate a brief connection issue. It appears that it happened to everyone, and everyone is slowly coming back. I can see most people have returned. Andrea, are you listening properly? Andrea, can you hear us? We can't hear you, Andrea. We're not listening to you.
Mrs. Gonzalo, she was completely cut off, I think.
Through this process should be focused on a proof of concept. So financially driven and technically driven around proof of concept that will then be evaluated and rolled into a commercial contract. And secondly, during the launch, you'll be given an opportunity to connect with the champion, as Maria Jose mentioned, from the BHP team about the project. And that is an opportunity that you should really leverage to ask your questions about the project to make sure that your proposal is headed in the right direction. Do we have Andrea back yet?
Thank you all. I can hear Andrea, it seems. Andrea? No, I can't hear you yet.
I think that we will get her back for the Q&A session. We can move on to the rest of the meeting, just for time's sake.
Yeah, for sure. So, so thank you very much, Andrea. Luckily, the connectivity problem was at the end. Connected to the VBox platform. Please remember that that's the platform where we will be that we will be using to answer the questions. And actually, perhaps we can start now. Please don't use the WebEx chat or the WebEx Q&A for the questions. Make sure you use Vbox, and that's all the information. It's on the chat of this WebEx. Once again, it's vbox.app, and the meeting number is 199-243-436. Matthias, would you be able to share your screen now with the questions?
Yes, definitely. Just a second.
Wait, I have someone saying that cannot hear anyone.
The question may have happened, Andres, during the small glitch.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, is everyone seeing the questions in the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
So, yes, Andres, you want to mention something?
Go ahead.
Okay. So the first question, and several people asked this question, is if you will have access to the PowerPoints presented today. And the answer is yes. We will make these presentations available on our challenge webpage. I put the link in the chat. It's expandemineria.cl. The next question is, do you share the technical economic criteria that BHP intends to use for proposal evaluation? Do you provide BHP's estimate of value that the innovation solicited from suppliers may generate? Maria Jose, maybe you can help us with that question?
Yeah, so we will give the high-level technical criteria we use for evaluation. Since we are looking for solutions and we are not specifying the product or service we want, we are looking at all of your screen now, Matthias.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was sharing a single screen.
Sorry about the interruption. No problem. So we will give you the technical criteria, and it's really important to point out that since we are looking for solutions not specifying the product or service we are looking for, we do a technical cut first. Before we open the economic proposals, the first thing we look at is on the technical proposal. We see and we rank them according to the criteria that we will share with you. And after that, those that meet that criteria, then we open the economic proposals, and then we start conversations on negotiations with the 2 or 3 suppliers that will make that cut. Okay, so if we have a list of 10 suppliers applying to a challenge, we will probably notify within the first month and a half to those that didn't make the technical cut, and so that they don't have to wait till the end of all the negotiations with all the suppliers. And then the awarding, which is creating a supplier, creating a contract, and that takes time. So we will notify you if you didn't make the technical cut, and then we will notify you if you were awarded or not based on the negotiation, and notify those who were not and tell them why. And as of the value of the solution, that is something that we will work together in on later stage. Once you are awarded, then we will work together in a future business model, business case, and updating that information.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria Jose. There's another question. Do you need to have a Chilean presence? Is there a preference for Chilean companies?
There's not a preference for Chilean companies, and you don't need to have a Chilean presence. What you do need to do is to develop Chilean capabilities somehow. That means that you could either, like the most extreme ways, you actually come and get your company established here in Chile. A more intermediate way would be to have a partnership with a Chilean supplier. The other option could be that maybe you hire some local people for some tasks. Other options could be partnership with a local university. There are many, many options, and probably you need to pick the one that is most aligned with your company strategy. what we want to do is to create capabilities here so that they are closer to the mines where you will operate. But there are so many options to do that. So I think that is something that we can talk together through the launches and the administrative launch and through probably the selection process. But no presence is mandatory, and there's nothing in the evaluation criteria that sets any preference for Chilean suppliers.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria Jose. The following question is for Andrea and Al. Will the EDC provide funding if successful?
I can take that.
Thank you, Al.
So this is on a case-by-case basis. Of course, it depending on the structure of the agreement. But yes, we can look at different financial products to support the project. That said, just to kind of highlight a point that Andrea mentioned earlier, and that is that we have financed BHP at a corporate level, and that's how we're involved in this interaction. So there's already financing with BHP at a corporate level, and we can also evaluate the different financial products that may be available to you if you're successful with the project.
Thank you, Al. The next question is, do you consider all possible solutions to the problem, even if more than was asked in the scope of the project?
My recommendation there would be that you at least address the basics and then say how that can be improved, because probably if you go beyond the scope that is asked, your economic proposal will be huge. So keep in mind that we are doing a proof of concept first. The second is that definitely you can go beyond the scope, but please make sure that you structure your proposal in a way that you address the basic, what was asked, and then you say, well, if you want to solve this, this, and that, there are these options, okay? And make that clear in the proposal so that that can start a conversation instead of shutting it down, okay?
Great. Thank you, Maria Jose. The next question is, do you know when, if there will be any initiatives roadmapped for fuel reduction for haul trucks?
Okay, so that is something that all mining companies are looking for. So probably if you go to Expande and you apply there, like just to introduce yourself, there's a link for that. If we will give it later, where you can just post what your solution is. It will not be public, it will be for Expande, but they will know about you and they will be able to recommend you to us and to other mining companies when that challenge comes up. I have to say that we are all in the reduction of emissions. So solutions in that field, we don't have it within the pipeline right now, but there are other areas of BHP that are interested. So it's always useful to go into the Expande webpage, make yourself visible to them so that they can recommend you to us and also to EDC.
Great. Do you want to add something, Andres?
No, I just want to answer that these presentations will be made available in our webpage at www.expandemineria.cl, because we got that question again.
Yes. About that, I added the link in the chat of the WebEx, so it's there, and later today you can check out the links for getting these presentations. Okay. The next question is: can you please show where to find this presentation one more time? That was answered. And with respect to past challenges, how many of the past winning solutions have been installed successfully on an industrial scale?
So I would say, well, at least the BHP case, we are getting closer to 10 solutions to being implemented at full scale. and that's a historic record. So it is real. I mean, the opportunity is real. We basically need to do that proof of concept first, because since this is innovation, something new for operations, they need to see that it works before it goes into full scale. Unless, do you want to add something?
Yeah, overall Expande right now we have 29 implementations out of 70 pilot contracts. So it's a fair trade. And in addition to that, of course, this process is going to be, these numbers are going to grow over time, especially because we spent the probably first year and a half piloting technologies that then started to get into implementation. So even though we think that our numbers are strong, we believe they're going to get even stronger over time.
Thank you, Andres and Maria Jose. Okay, the next question is, what is the average time scope and budget for a pilot? If the technology has been developed already with innovation funds and test at another site, do we need to consider R&D activities or just engineering and solution customization to BHP mine sites?
Okay, so the average time and scope, that usually depending on how complex the solution is, or how much integration needs to happen, or how new, how low the TRL is, it can take from 6 months to 18 months, I would say. Then the budget, we never share that, but think in the hundreds of thousands, not in the millions. And if the technology has already been developed elsewhere, I think it's more about engineering customization instead of like redoing all the R&D. I think it's really important that, I mean, it's kind of in the miners' mindset that their mines are so special, so different than any other mine site in the world, that they want to make sure that the customization is right for their process. So I think that instead of R&Ding again, it's more about the right engineering, the right customization at each site. If the solutions has been proven elsewhere, that's what I mean.
Great. The next question is, it is possible that there is also a feedback in the pre-qualification for those companies that do not pass this stage. So I understand that for EDC, this is not the case.
Actually, that's an improvement that we just started with one process last week. And we are going to do that. Like if suppliers want to know why they didn't qualify, they get a summary from Expande. If they were not qualified by BHP, we also do a summary. Don't expect a very long thing. We will just tell you the couple of things that left you out of the process.
Very well. Who owns the intellectual property?
The supplier. We respect the background IP. I mean, the IP that we all had before the project, that's the people who owned it before. The IP that gets created in the project, that is the suppliers. And because the whole goal of this is to create capability, to make our challenges turn into opportunities for suppliers, to allow them to grow, to replicate the solutions in all the mining industry, and hopefully in other industries in many countries. So the only way that this can be done is by the IP being owned by the supplier. There are going to a few cases in which we will need to review that. There are some strategic things that we would like to co-own, but that is something that we will let you know upfront so that you know if you're interested or not.
Thank you. And the last question for now is, if the technology applied is successful, could you help us to offer the technology in other PHPs, mine sites around the world?
That's the goal. There's a supply innovation area setting up in Australia right now. So we look for transferring, like that's the dream for us. If we can actually transfer a solution from Chile to Australia or to Canada, that's actually part of our goals. And also Expande can support it being implemented in other mining companies here in Chile.
Yes, that's exactly right. So our role as an open innovation platform is to make sure that innovations that get tested and implemented in one site actually are available for all of the companies we work with. So it's also in our interest to make sure that if you have been successful with one, we are able to promote it to our other mining companies we work with. And in addition to that, I said before that we don't select the challenges, and every single company that works with Expande has its own challenge portfolio, but that's not because they have problems that are so different, it's because their urgency is different. But many times we run into similar problems from different companies at different times. So by being part of our database, you actually have the opportunity to be selected for similar challenges in different companies. So that's another way in which we can help you promote your technology.
Very well, Andres and Maria Jose. Thank you both. And I believe we don't have any further questions.
Yes, we're not
So
seeing.
We still have 25 minutes for questions. So anything that you want to ask us, please go ahead.
There's a new one.
There's another one. Some challenges are shown as closed. Can we still participate?
No, they are closed, but there are many that are still open. So keep visiting the webpage to find out which ones are open.
Yeah, and also be aware that even though we're only discussing the BHP process today, in our webpage you will see challenges from all mining companies that we work with. So that and our LinkedIn, which is Expande Minería as well, are very good resources for you to be aware of what we're doing.
Okay, there's one more question. Can a technology be submitted in more than one challenge? Definitely. Yes, of course. How frequent do the challenges refresh? Well, that depends. Almost.
Yeah, for BHP, it's once a year. We identify challenges during our planification process, which is called CAP cycle, company alignment plan. This happens like at the end of the calendar year. So approximately in October, November, we are doing this identification and prioritization, and by January, we know the challenges that we will be launching. That's also aligned with our budgeting process, et cetera, et cetera. So we make sure that we have the right prioritization. So these challenges are the most critical, the ones that we are willing to invest time and development on. So these challenges will, at least for BHP, they will be refreshed next year, like at the end of this year, beginning of next.
To add to that question, on our website, the challenges may be refreshed weekly, maybe twice a week sometimes, but it depends on the flow and the schedule for each challenge. So you either need to, the recommendation would be to either check weekly or to apply to present your solutions as a company. There's a link for that too in the same challenge webpage. So you can add the solutions that you're capable of providing. And whenever there's a new challenge, we search our database, and if the challenge matches what you can done, you will be invited to participate.
Yes, and just to complement on the previous question on this one, so for the challenges, we do two things. We do active scouting, or three, we see our database, and we open them for you to be able to self-identify through the challenge webpage. So technologies can be submitted to several challenges, and please don't be discouraged if you didn't make the pre-qualification in one time, because companies we work with also are looking for different things. Sometimes they're looking for a technology that they can actually implement right now, or they're looking for something it's on a more development stage. So not all the challenges are the same, even though they may be on the same themes. So don't get discouraged, and actually, I think the most advisable is to try to participate in the most challenges you can, and that's a way to improve your opportunities.
We still have time for more questions.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, there's another one. That's right. The challenge link shows only PHP, and I can't see Codelco projects. That is because currently we don't have any Codelco projects open. That is for the moment.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they will not come in the pipeline. Different companies have different cycles. That's a good example. For example, Codelco and BHP, their fiscal years are different. BHP uses North America fiscal year. Codelco uses South America's fiscal year. And that means that the pipeline of challenges usually kind of do not overlap, but are kind of progressive over time. So probably we expect to see Codelco challenges further down in the year to start to come up the pipeline.
I see one more. Maria Jose?
Yeah, because I'm seeing that Brian has problems with Vivox. So his question is, with so many different parties being involved, Expande, Bright Idea, etc., how do you ensure confidentiality of technology and financial information? So can you talk about Bright Idea, how it works, and how do you make the process traceable?
Okay, first of all, when you access the challenges and the platform, there's terms and conditions that you should read and agree. And part of the terms and conditions state and ensure that every solution that you send is confidential. I mean, we don't sell any of your information or any of the information about the solutions. Is there something you can add about that, Andres?
No, basically that we manage all the process through Bright Idea. Sometimes we got some questions on how on how to log in. Basically, you need to register, and for that, it's a very common process of registering and getting a password. Other than that, I don't think there are any kind of hazards or technical difficulties.
Yeah, and we make sure that we handle this information privately. I mean, we make sure that all the communication and transfer of documents are done with safe platforms, because what we want to do is to mimic the internal process that all of us mining companies have. We wanted Expande to have a safe platform for everybody that could meet all of our internal requirements to manage this process. So we make sure that when we transfer information between each other, we do it on safe platforms. Also, when we transfer the proposals that you get up in Bright Idea, we make sure that that is transferred in a safe way too. And only people involved in the process will be able to receive this information, nobody else. And that's part of like the ways of working, as we call it. So we are definitely protecting your intellectual property. We are protecting the proposals that you send us. The same way that we expect you to protect our information when we put our specifications up, we expect you to handle them carefully as well. They are not public documentation. They are only for the sake of the particular process that we are putting that information up. So, and we actually have that confidentiality clauses in the specifications of the challenge. It's one of the documents that is up there that has that clauses of confidentiality for participation. But we do take care of that.
The tender specifications.
Yes, and we manage also all the Q&A through Bright Idea. That sometimes can feel like it's not a very close way to handle it, but because we want traceability and for transparency, we want to have everything in the platform so it can be audited afterwards if necessary. Also, I'd like to mention that Expande is hosted at a broader institution that's called Fundación Chile, which is basically an NGO or more on, it's a nonprofit. And we are a neutral player. So we do not have any interest neither over mining companies, not over suppliers. And that's part of the value that mining companies have in working with us. We do not make a profit, nor we charge suppliers for participating in this process. So we try to keep neutrality as far as we can, and that's part of our value proposition.
Great. Thank you, Andres and Maria Jose. There's another question. Do you ever get outside support, for example, third-party technical expertise to develop the challenge and further refine the objectives by building out and vetting the business case?
Not regularly. Usually it would be an internal team addressing the challenge. Maybe one particular very complex one could, but I would say 99% of the time it's internal teams, operations, finance, technology, etc. We all together like set up the information and also build a business case.
Thank you, Maria Jose. The next question, does PHP Chile and PHP Innovation Center in Australia work together? Do these challenges span the globe or are they region specific?
The ones that you are seeing now published in Expande are region specific. We do transfer knowledge across regions, but what you will see in the platform, the ones that I put on the list, etc., those are for BHP Chilean operations, Spence or Escondida. The supply innovation areas being set up right now in Australia, they will start launching. They intend to start launching in the next month or next 2 months. So you will be able to see those challenges. Expande will help to promote them. They will be handled by Osmine in Australia. Okay. So as I said, there's collaboration, but the challenges you're seeing now are for Chile.
Okay. Thank you, Maria Jose. We have another question. Is there any possibility to test a new technology in BHP, considering it has not been tested anywhere yet?
We need to scope it correctly. I think that, yes, we do want to innovate. We have many challenges. We are an old industry. We see disruption all around us, and we don't want people to come and disrupt us. We want to own our future. So having that in mind, we are open to do innovation and do it in the, like, I would say, safest way possible. So to set up the project in a way that you de-risk the technology as you progress, so that if you are going to fail, you fail early and you fail cheap, and then move on to the next solution. What I would say is, if the solution that you want to propose is not part of the challenges that we are launching, still post it in the Expande. I mean, go and log into the Expande webpage, because there might a challenge come up in the future that could need that technology. So in summary, yes, we are willing to try new technologies. We will do it in a very safe and staged way.
Very good. We have one more question for now. Will more detailed information be released for the Tailings Challenge project?
We will have more of that within the next month. We are in the final stages of getting all that information and getting, I think, all the characterization information together, etc. So within the next month, you will see more detailed information on what we expect, what our tailings are like, and also when the date of the launch will be and the stages of the process.
Yeah, and in that regard, if you're interested in the Tailings Challenge, please make sure that you go into the webpage and you sign up for further information. We do have a link. It's not a submission link. It's only the link to know you and to make sure that you're interested, because we are making sure that every single communication that goes around the Tailings Challenge, that list, we make sure that gets it and gets it before anyone. So we invite you to go there and register, because we are really looking forward for that. It's going to be something very unique and very big, and probably something that the industry has not been seen many times. So please go there if you're interested, and make sure that you're registered.
Okay, so Brian Edwards still having problems with Vivox. He's saying, for clarification, at which stage of the BHP process does EDC be contacted and updated on progress? Well, as I explained, we have the whole process starts with a kickoff meeting where operations explain to Expande what the challenge is so that they can basically publish this challenge in their webpage. As soon as that happens, EDC and other networks are contacted to make them aware that these challenges are available in the webpage. Okay, and then suppliers will come in and will have to apply, and then notifications will be given to suppliers, and we make sure to keep EDC in the loop. I don't know if you want to give more information on that, Matias or Victoria or Andres.
I don't have anything to add to that.
So Andrea, do you want to add something to the question, or all?
We still have, I understand, 4 more minutes for questions. So if anyone else.
Yeah, Al here, just to expand on that question. So as the challenges are released on the website, we're also notified, and that's where we kind of do an in-depth review of what the request is and actively reach out to Canadian suppliers. So while we strongly encourage you to sign up on the Expande website and to monitor these notifications, we are doing the same on your behalf, and we'll reach out when we see something that matches your capabilities. So for that reason, if there are capabilities that you think we may be unaware of, then by all means reach out to Andrea or myself, and yeah, bring us up to speed.
Thank you, Al. Okay, there's
Can
another.
you guys hear me?
We can. Andrea?
Oh, hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Sorry about that before. I just wanted to add to Al's point. If you haven't been in touch with Al at all or myself, that probably means that we're not fully aware of your capabilities. So to his point on reaching out to us, make sure that you reach out to us. We have a team in Ottawa that's actively looking at understanding Canadian capabilities of suppliers across the whole country. But as you can imagine, that is a moving target, and we can never stay completely ahead of the game. So please let us know if you feel there's something that you would be relevant for, as you said, and reach out to us if you haven't had regular communication for us to make sure we are aware of your capabilities, so that if we do come across other opportunities, HP or otherwise, we can promote you accordingly. Are we done doing questions so I can wrap up, or where are we on this?
We have one more question.
Okay.
Okay, is PHP open to work with Canadian suppliers and Canadian innovation funds to work with a longer time scope that enhance a collaborative applied R&D to solve PHP challenges or needs?
I think we are. It wouldn't be through this process. I think it would be through a different area like innovation or technology or planning and technical. But I think that, as I said before, we have many challenges. We are an old industry. We see disruption happening everywhere, and we are like around the corner from having a new business model for mining that puts us out of business. So I think that it's urgent that we try new things, that we innovate, that we try to solve our problems in a different way. And we are open to that. And I think this process has allowed to have a lot of learnings that can go beyond this process to the rest of the company. There's a lot to be learned from here in how to build partnerships, how to open our problems to suppliers and other stakeholders to solve them together. So what we are doing with the tailings challenge is an example. What we are doing in the space of XPRIZE, the same thing. There are new ways to address our different challenges. And there's, in the last, and you're gonna laugh about this, but in the last transformation that this company had, like 5 new areas of partnerships were created. So we definitely want to partner. That's a good sign. So I think that, yeah, we're open. Basically, if you have a proposal, let me know, and I will see who I can direct you within the company to see if they are open to that.
Okay.
Are we good?
There, we have one more question. And I think this is the last question that would finish the time for the Q&A. Which variables do you take into account to disqualify a candidate in the first phase of the process?
I think that is something that Victoria Matias can answer at this point.
I think Carlos can make a question in our webpage, because I don't know about what challenge he submit a proposal. So I recommend to submit a question. We verify the antecedentes. I don't know how do you say that.
The information.
The background information.
Yeah, but in general terms, the first stage of the process is to make sure that everyone is aligned to the challenge, the potential, and also the level of innovation. As I said in my presentation before, Expande looks for, we're not a replacement for supply for the mining companies. So if we are providing our clients the same things that they're finding through their regular supply operation, we're not adding any value. What we focus is on finding new things, innovative things, and things that haven't been available yet. So even though it's hard to make, it's a question that will be on a case-to-case basis, in general terms, Expande is not about plain vanilla. Expande is about finding new, interesting way to solve problems that haven't been solved before. And I think that's the last question that we have. Andrea, if you want to wrap up.
Sure, thanks. And maybe you can also, while I'm wrapping up, send the email address for both Al and myself. I think a few people have sent me a separate text saying that they would like to be contacted, and I think that would be useful to have both of our emails sent up. First of all, I just wanted to wrap up by commenting on 3 takeaways. First, I really encourage everybody to check the website, Bright Ideas. It's updated regularly. There's lots of opportunity. Changes happen. You need to be on top of it, and please follow the process. If you have any questions, send an email to Expande. If you're having issues reaching them, you can contact us. Second of all, please price to scope. The majority of Canadian suppliers are pricing themselves out of this process because they're pricing beyond scope. Okay, if you have options you want to identify, price them separately, but do your basic scope economic proposal. Thirdly, please take advantage of that 5 minutes to ensure you're on the right track, not to sell your solution, but to ask if you're on the right track and get feedback from those individuals that are part of that 5-minute private session. And most importantly, I just wanted to express a huge thank you again to Expande and BHP. This session was a clear demonstration that they're continuously looking to improve the process, to be more clear. And I can tell you most of these changes that have been put forward to them, they have adopted, and in the proposed lessons learned, those are reflecting the new changes that they've put in place as a result of the feedback. So evaluation criteria, understanding if you didn't make it to the next phase, brief summary on why you didn't. These are all critical aspects. We heard from you, we listened, and we passed it on. So please encourage everybody to take advantage of these proposals and opportunities. And again, thank you to all of you that participated and led this session. We greatly appreciated it.
Thank you to Andrea. And now,
yes, thank you very much. We want to appreciate Maria Jose's time, Andrea's time, Gonzalo's time. For you to be aware, Gonzalo also promotes our challenges to other nodes in Canada. So, and please be sure that we're always going to be listening. We know that we can improve our process, and this is, as Andrea said, a moving target. So we expect to have another of these kind of sessions in the future to address new things that might come up the pipeline.
Definitely. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We had a lot of participants. If you have any further questions after this meeting, let us know. Let's leave the VBox open for an hour or so, so that if you think of any question, you can still enter VBox and leave that one, and we can publish that later in Expande's webpage. We will have a recording of the session. We will share the presentations with you. So we really, really expect to see you soon applying to all of these processes that we have open. Okay.
Yeah, and just to close, we have a poll open also in VBox. So if you can give us your view on how do you see the event, and if it was clear enough, it will also help us to continue to improve. So we would appreciate if you can fill that survey as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate your feedback.
Perfect. So with that being said, Gonzalo, do you want to say some final words?
Necessarily, but this has been a fantastic experience. I think we had a lot of audience, and I think it's a very good start. So congratulations to all of you organizing this. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay.
thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.